the rear right corner, check pressure and everything.
Vettel, the one behind, but one of the Renaults is Daniel Ricciardo and he's pitted. That unleashes Vettel into a really nice load of clear air, so that makes life easier, and he's going to cross the line to start his flying lap with about 10 seconds left on the clock. It couldn't have been tighter.
Huge pressure on Sebastian Vettel, heading out in the first part of qualifying at the moment. Hulkenberg, Vettel, Stroll and the two Williams of Russell and Kubica. At risk, Lando Norris, who is now completing his lap with the checkered flag out. Here he comes, and he is coming across the line in the Papaya McLaren. Can he get through? He goes up to 7th. Big effort for Lando Norris.
Charles Leclerc's at risk here, the local man. He's down in 13th, and he is not on track in the Ferrari, so they've just left him in the garage, and now he has got just 1/10 of a buffer to Albon, Perez, Hulkenberg, Vettel, who surely will improve. Then it's Stroll, Russell and Kubica, who shouldn't beat him. But Leclerc could go out. If Vettel puts in a lap, that's going to knock his teammate down, and then it's going to rely on Albon, Perez or Hulkenberg improving as well. He is big time at risk. Vettel's doing the job, though. Vettel's going to breeze through. He's got a nice clear track, and he's through the second part of swimming pool. Just Rask has to go.
Vettel with 2 corners remaining on the lap, and he has managed to get himself. Is he going to get himself out? Looks like the lap's going to be good enough. This could drop his teammate down. Vettel gets out and goes fastest, but in doing so demotes the home hero, Charles Leclerc, who is out in the first part of qualifying.
Bittersweet for Ferrari. One of their drivers was going to be going out then. Hulkenberg improved to get 2 Renaults through into Q2. Vettel then was in the drop zone with his teammate on the bubble in 15th. Vettel went to the top, and Leclerc goes out. Charles Leclerc topped FP3 moments ago, and he's out in Q1. What a howler. What went on there at Ferrari? Why was he not out on track? You need to have a good qualifying in Monaco, and he's out in 16th place to start the Grand Prix tomorrow.
He is shaking his head in the garage, and he has gone from hosting royalty to being dumped out in the first part of qualifying. Also heading out, Perez, Stroll, Russell and Kubica, but the main headline is the driver who looked like he had the possible speed for pole position on the streets he grew up in will have his weekend ruined, and he will start the race from 16th position, and he is stalking away from the Ferrari garage.
An absolute shocker. It's an absolute shocker there. Whatever's gone on, was there an issue with the car, or was it Ferrari being brave and just saving a set of tyres? He did the same sort of run as Kevin Magnussen waited in the garage as well, but Magnussen finished in 10th. He was 3/10 quicker than Charles Leclerc on the first run. His first run wasn't good. He flat-spotted the tyres at Raskas. He didn't get a clean enough lap in. It was still a lot better than Vettel's first run. That's why Vettel was out there at the end, because he had to improve. But Ferrari, one assumes they left him in the garage to save a set of tyres for later on in the weekend, or later on in the session, and he's not. He's going to have loads of tyres. He's out. It's just incredible for the. He was their main hope of pole. Vettel crashed earlier, missed a load of track time. Leclerc is out in Q1. Vettel topped it, so that's another bit of good news for one side of the garage. But wow, what a shocker! Somehow that has gone badly, badly wrong for the home hero.
And that is good news for Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen, who we expect to be contending for pole position later on. Very, very dramatic development and bitter stuff for Charles Leclerc, because he had shown incredible speed around the circuit earlier on.
I thought I was going straight into the wall on that lap, guys. Hitting that entry wall. That was good. Good changes from P3.
Heading out, tip of the hat to Sebastian Vettel, who delivered under pressure at the end there, but only one Ferrari getting through, and Leclerc, whose previous worst of the season, was down in 8th position. The first part of qualifying has just finished, and we have lost Robert Kubica, George Russell, Lance Stroll, Sergio Perez, and the big headline, the hometown favourite, Charles Leclerc, out for Ferrari. Earlier on in the third practice session, he had been the fastest car, but Jolyon Palmer, Ferrari got it wrong in a big way. They nearly lost Sebastian Vettel as well, but in the end, it's Leclerc who goes out.
Yeah, Vettel nudged the barriers and just about got away with it, but was under huge pressure to deliver a lap at the end. But him doing a lap meant that he bumped his teammate out, and Leclerc was top in practice earlier. He was the favourite of Ferrari to get pole position, but it's a real howler from the team. They didn't send him out for a second run, and they've paid a big, big price.
So Sebastian Vettel, the fastest, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen. They will fight it out for pole. Sadly for Leclerc, he won't.
Well, we've said it numerous times, haven't we, this season, that Ferrari may have had an advantage, and then across the weekend at some point, whether it's a driver error, a car error, the tyres not switching on, the tyres not being hot enough, the tyres not being cold enough, whatever it's been, there have been systematic mistakes, some could say failures at Ferrari, and this one, we haven't heard from Charles Leclerc. The team haven't let us know exactly what was going on. He missed that weighbridge, was rolled back to it, and then didn't go out again. Why on earth would they not have sent Charles Leclerc out when they knew that Sebastian Vettel could have gone faster, and the likelihood is he would have been on the cusp? It's curious.
Well, it came down to Vettel bumping his teammate out, but of course, it wasn't just Vettel. Leclerc was up in the top 10 and looking okay, but track improvement in Monaco is one of those circuits with every lap it gets better. Again, not even just the track improvement, the drivers throw more caution to the wind at the end. They find more themselves when it's the do or die last lap. You're always going to find another tenth or so. And at the end of the day, between Ferrari and Leclerc, it's an absolute horror show. Monaco, you really cannot overtake around this circuit. Verstappen started last year, got to 9th. So that's some solace, but 9th in a Ferrari around Monaco is not a good result. Leclerc's first run was bad. He was 3 tenths away from Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. That's not good enough either. He had a big lock-up. It's all just between him also then coming in and missing the weighbridge. Here we go.
Weighbridge.
Wait, I haven't.
Weighbridge.
So he had missed the weighbridge and was pushed all the way back from the Ferrari pit box.
But I think he had time then to go back out again. I don't think the weighbridge was the reason that he couldn't go again. That was earlier on in the session. It just added to the mess of everything. But it was just everything that went wrong. Between the driver missing the weighbridge is his fault. He's got to see that. He then had to get pushed back. His lap in the first place was bad. It wasn't good enough. And then the team not sending him out again. Everything is a mess, and his race weekend is up in smoke.
Alexander Albon improved under pressure at the end there, as did Kimi Räikkönen, Antonio Giovinazzi, Hülkenberg as well. Got themselves out of danger.
And we are safely through.
Nice. Good job, guys.
Lando, good job you, mate. Good job you.
Along. He wanted a chance at that pole position so badly. He will not get it. And on then to the second part of qualifying we go. 14 minutes remaining now. Green light at the end of the pit lane. And 16th down to 20th will be Leclerc, Perez, Stroll, Russell and Kubica, and then we're going to lose another 5 cars before we go to the top 10 qualifying shootout, and this we expect, Jolyon, is going to be super tight.
Absolutely. Nico Hülkenberg is one driver that can be very thankful of Ferrari's mess in Q1, because he would have been out there, and he actually was struggling from the moment that Giovinazzi held him up on his first run that looked all right, that opening lap. Just struggling all the time, just dropping back every time he put in a time. People were responding, but he managed to sneak through with Leclerc not going out again. And now it all counts for nothing. They're all going out, and it's just for the top 10. And this midfield battle is always so close. It's going to be fascinating to see who can progress. Strategy-wise, everyone out on the soft tyre. All 15 cars out on track, and they're all on the same tyre. So for the race tomorrow, there's no tactical gambles from anyone.
So it's usually a one-stop here in Monaco, where track position is king. And that is why we saw such a visible reaction for Charles Leclerc, not hiding his emotions at all. Like sometimes he does. He's a savvy operator, but very, very unhappy. Okay, to this part of the session, Lewis Hamilton right now has not set the fastest first sector of the session so far. That's his teammate. We expect to see a titanic battle between the two Mercedes. Hopefully Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly can join as well. And can Vettel rescue Ferrari's day? Right now it's all about getting into the third part of qualifying. Hamilton coming around the 19th and final turn. Bit of a flourish as well there as he kicks out the rear, or straightening it out and coming across the line, and he sets a 1:11.1. They are getting closer to the 1 minute 10s. Bottas is going to do it into the 1 minute 10s with a 1 minute 10.7 to go fastest of anyone so far, and he's beaten his teammate Jolien by 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, big luck from Valtteri Bottas there, unleashing some pace in the Mercedes. Red Bull were looking good in that Q1 session. Verstappen was top but didn't go back out again, which meant that Vettel eventually topped Q1. But that was at the end of the session, and he had to put the lap in and had a much better track to do that. I think Red Bull entered the mix a little bit there. Leclerc was the one that we were thinking was going to take the fight to Mercedes, let's not forget. Vettel's on the back foot already, having crashed earlier on, down on a bit of track time. He made that up by getting through in Q1, but he had to use an extra set of tyres for that, so potentially may run out later on. But that lap from Bottas is looking...
Head more on the steer this lap.
But now comes through and does something sensible. He splits the Mercedes 3/10 away from Bottas, though.
Yeah, Bottas' time already faster than pole position last year. That went to Daniel Ricciardo. Red Bull once again in the hunt. Their best hope looking like being Verstappen. Bottas, Verstappen, Hamilton, the top three. Fourth is Daniel Ricciardo ahead of Pierre Gasly. Good effort for Ricciardo to get ahead of the Red Bull, his old team. Sebastian Vettel down in sixth. Seventh is Daniel Kvyat ahead of Lando Norris. Kevin Magnussen in the top 10 at the moment, rounded out by the Renault of Nico Hülkenberg. Long way to go, though. 10 minutes in the session. They all try to find themselves part of the racetrack where they can attack. And Charles Leclerc stalking away from the Monaco pit lane, where you need to take the bridge, get back into the paddock, and he will make his way to the Scarlet motorhome and will be not really in the mood to speak to anyone. He was entertaining guests before this session started. He will just want to be left alone after what has happened to him. Here we go then. You can hear the McLaren of Lando Norris, who managed to get through. Was a good lap from Norris, who had been on the back foot so far this weekend.
How are the tyres? Sector 1.
Bit cold. That front and rear.
So Verstappen reporting on the radio that the fronts and the rears are a bit cold. And that is not what you need around these 2 miles of Monaco. So Norris getting himself from 16th in the final practice session, actually into the second part of qualifying. So good effort for him. And he's now completing another lap with relatively straight of time. But a lock up at the Larascas, just like we saw from Leclerc earlier on in the first part of qualifying. Norris, the runner-up in the Formula 2 Championship last year, cuts the beam. And he stays in 8th position, 1:11.9, his best effort. You can hear his teammate about to go up into 5th place. That is where the Spaniard has managed to put his McLaren. Hülkenberg gets himself up to 8th. Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen, Kvyat in 4th, ahead of Sainz, then Ricciardo, Gasly, Hülkenberg and Vettel in 9th at the moment.
Should be about to improve, though, Sebastian Vettel. He's into the final sector and on a better lap this time around. And I think he's got the cleared track as well. Or has he backed off this one, actually, in the end? He's coming across the line. Sebastian Vettel in 9th position, and wait, he doesn't improve in the end. So stays 9th and actually does a lap time very similar to his previous. So just not quick in the end. Vettel 9th, genuinely, right now. Ricciardo improves to 5th. He's looking good in the Renault. Teammate Hülkenberg in 8th. So at the moment, both Renaults in the top 10, and that's why...
Yeah, this lap was definitely better with the tires. Just turn 6, not rotating very well. Turn 5 and a bit, turn 8. The rest is in the ballpark, I think.
Bottas the fastest car at the moment. And a big lock-up down at Mirabeau.
And a whack of the wall as well for Kevin Magnussen. So Magnussen was the star of Q1, really. Got through on one set of tyres, did a very good job early on. but he's hit the wall, just nudged it on the right front. He's back in the pits. He's down in 12th right now, but he basically locked up, turned in too much and hit the apex wall of Mirabeau, the turn 5 right-hand hairpin, but maybe got away with it. I'll be surprised. It looked like a reasonable whack on the right front tyre, but he's back in the pits and the team presumably working on it, making sure it's all okay.
Strange to see a car hit the inside of the corner.
Well, you've got to get right up to the apexes, but he did hit that one fairly hard. That wasn't just a brush, that was a proper hit from Magnussen. Probably the lock-up and everything, and he was sort of distracted and lost his turning point, was more worried about the wall on the outside. Thought he'd turn it in a bit early, but that was a reasonable hit. So Magnussen is under a bit of pressure here. Down in 12th, Grosjean, his teammate, is 15th and bottom of all the runners left. And in between them, there's 2 Alfa Romeos, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi. So that means Toro Rosso are looking good. Kvyat's up in 4th, Albon's in 10th, but Kvyat up in 4th is a great job.
Very, very comfortable right now on the circuit. Daniel Kvyat, and the driver who has a best qualifying position of 5th around this circuit, right now in 4th place. Okay, so it's Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen, Kvyat, who we highlighted a few moments ago, then the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo. Remember, Ricciardo, a 2-time pole winner around here in the past. Then Sainz in 6th, and then the drivers in danger.
Okay, Lando, we believe you've got an 11.6 in your pocket.
To get himself out of trouble. Top 10 shootout at the moment being completed by Alexander Albon, who has never made it in to Q3 before in his Formula 1 career. He's a rookie this season, ahead of another one. 11th heading out at the moment, Lando Norris for McLaren, then Kevin Magnussen in 12th after that error in the Haas. Kimi Raikkonen is 13th ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, 14th at the moment as Alfa Romeo begin to slip back, having shown good pace, worthy of the top 10 earlier in the weekend. And Romain Grosjean right now heading out. He is in 15th position.
So 1 set of tyres left for everyone, all going to be on the soft, of course, the one that is going to be the qualifying tyre with the most grip. All heading out just about now. And once again, there's now 1 Ferrari left and he's under pressure. Sebastian Vettel, his lap is half a second away from what he did in Q1 that topped Q1. It's half a second away, he's down in 9th. Now, Vettel surely will have the pace to get through in the top 10. But again, you've got to take into account other yellow flags, traffic. If you've got 5 minutes left and you have to put in a lap, he did it in Q1, but you don't need this extra pressure if you're a top team trying to get through. He should do it. Pierre Gasly is down in 7th as well, so he's only inside by 1/10. Very, very tight out there, so they've got to try and get a good, clean lap in. But they've gone out with 5 minutes to go, so they'll have at least a couple of bites at the cherry for this.
Under 5 minutes to go then. Everyone out of the pit lane apart from the 2 Red Bulls of Verstappen and Gasly. You can hear the Haas of Romain Grosjean leaving nothing on the exit of Sandoval. This is the sound of him powering up the hill, going through the first sector of the lap, past the Opera House, past the casino, and then threading the needle. Down the hill he goes. He would usually take much more of a wide berth of the bump in the middle of the straight that leads to Mirabeau, but he had a car in the way, Julian Palmer.
He did, he had an Alfa.
And tyres are much better this run.
Got well out of his way, so no sign of a penalty for that Alfa Romeo at the end of the session. Giovinazzi, remember, still to be investigated for his block of Hulkenberg. It didn't make a big difference, but right now that's irrelevant. Grosjean coming out of the tunnel down to the Nouvelle chicane. A lot of time to be had here. Difficult braking zone. Easy to lock up and get it wrong, and you can go straight across, but Grosjean doesn't do that, and he's down to Tabat. Quick left-hander, which brings you then very quickly into the swimming pool. Absolutely flat out through that for Grosjean, and then right up to the barrier on the right-hand side. Firstly on the entry, then on the exit of the second part of the swimming pool. Raskas, and then the final corner, Anthony Noakes. Grosjean has done a personal best in both the first 2 sectors. He needs to. He's currently 15th, but he comes across the line now, jumps to 12th. Still not good enough.
That will be disappointing for Romain Grosjean. Still finds himself about a 10th away from being able to get through in the session. So Daniel Kvyat is another driver trying to get himself clearly through right now. Very, very tight indeed between getting through and heading out. Just half a 10th of a second between 10th place Albon and 11th place Norris. So the driver at risk for Toro Rosso is not the one you can hear powering to the line. That's Daniel Kvyat. He going to improve. I think he is. He doesn't improve, but remains in 4th place.
Yeah, not a lot of personal best coming in just yet, but the drivers are all going to have 2 bites of the cherry. Albon has improved up to 8th. The tyres, I heard Verstappen saying they're a bit cold at the first sector on the first lap, so maybe the second lap is actually going to be the money shot to try and get your Q3 ticket. But Norris just about nudges as well. He's up into 10th. And that's enough for now, but the improvements will come. The same as in Q1, the track's improving all the time, the drivers get braver, and it's all going to change in the next 2 minutes.
Vettel up to 4th, staring down the barrel, had to improve, did improve. And now Norris is down to 11th, along with Hülkenberg in 12th, Grosjean in 13th. Raikkonen currently heading out, trying to improve as he brings his Alfa Romeo across the line. Can he get himself out? No, he can't. No improvement for him. He's 14th. Giovinazzi is 15th. The driver at risk right now, Alexander Albon. 2 minutes to go. And as Julian says, not a lot of improvements. Hülkenberg puts a personal best, though, in the first sector. He'll be a driver to watch. Pierre Gasly trying to give himself a little bit more breathing room as well. Verstappen goes over the line and goes fastest of anyone so far with a 1 minute 10.6. And that battle for pole is hotting up, but right now we're focusing on whether you can get into the final top 10 shootout. Hülkenberg was taking a lot of curb. He was risking it on the exit of the swimming pool. He's now through the final corner, the 19th and final corner. Hülkenberg to the line, trying to get in to the top 10 shootout. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Up to 9th position with a 1:11.6. And the driver at risk right now is Kevin Magnussen, Alexander Albon, Lando Norris, Grosjean in 13th, and then the 2 Alfa Romeos eliminated at the moment. Minute and 12 seconds still to run.
Hülkenberg may be able to get another lap in, but he'll have to really pedal round. They need a lap to recharge the batteries on their hybrid engines, so you can't just push 2 in a row. But so Hülkenberg may be done, or he might just about get another lap in with second or so to go on the clock. There's now less than a minute, and right now Albon, Norris, Grosjean, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi are the drivers under threat, and we haven't got many people on an absolute fly. They're all just waiting for the last shot, which is about to come now.
A big pressure lap for Alexander Albon, looking to try and make the final part of qualifying for the first time. He's improved in the first sector. We've had the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel into the weighbridge as well. He managed to take it. Albon is improving, but not by a lot right now. Going to be fine margins as they go across the line. Final 20 seconds. Daniel Kvyat.
Okay, I need more front end. The front is not working. Got chattering in lap 1. The front doesn't bite.
Albon comes across the line to slot in behind his teammate with a 1:11.4. He's through for the first time at the moment. Here comes Carlos Sainz, the lead McLaren driver so far today. He's in 9th at a bit of a risk. Norris is trying to improve as well, as is Kevin Magnussen. Both are being eliminated as it stands. Here comes Lando Norris, the British driver, trying to get himself up the order. He can, but not through. He's out. He's eliminated in 11th position. Magnussen is improving by a huge chunk of time. That is not good news if you are Hülkenberg, because it could demote the Renault driver out. 1 corner to go, waiting to get on the power. The black and gold Haas threading the needle through the final 2 corners. Magnussen trying to escape and get himself into the final top 10 shootout, and he does with a time to go 5th fastest, which relegates Hülkenberg down to 11th. Giovinazzi is not improving, so he'll come across the line. A weekend of promise, finishing with 15th on the grid as we get to the end of Q2, and that will be disappointment for Alfa Romeo. And it is Hülkenberg, Norris and Grosjean who tumble out in the second part of qualifying.
Big lap from Kevin Magnussen. He, at the moment, is my man of qualifying. He's got a lot of pace in his Haas car. Romain Grosjean's out in the other one in 13th. And there's a full 7/10 of a second between the two of them. So not entirely sure what happened to Grosjean. He's being wheeled back now. Here's his radio.
Mate, well, honestly, people don't give a
I think he might have been blocked.
Yeah, there you go. That's what happened to Grosjean. Very clear and calm radio. He's obviously been impeded, in his view anyway. We haven't seen any investigations, but Grosjean out and not a happy chappy. The 2 Alfa Romeos are disappointing there for me. They've shown pace through the weekend. They were half a second away, both of them. Giovinazzi, not a bad lap. He was within a 10th of Kimi Raikkonen, but it goes for nothing. It's 15th, and Daniel Kvyat had a nice little slice of the wall at Anthony Nogues, the final corner with the left rear. But Kvyat looking good, 6th. Albon 7th. Toro Rosso flying. They're both in Q3. Albon's first time ever, and the two of them together. It's looking like a very strong weekend for them. Ricciardo, Monaco specialist, managed to get through as well in the Renault. And Carlos Sainz never been out-qualified by a teammate here, and he hasn't been this time. Norris out in 11th, or 12th in the end. Sainz through into Q3.
Alfa Romeo will be disappointed that their pace faded away. Grosjean getting blocked. Lando Norris has been around the position that he finished in qualifying all weekend long. And then Hülkenberg will be disappointed because they're usually fairly close together, but Ricciardo getting the measure of him. So we've lost Hülkenberg, Norris, Grosjean, and the two Alfa Romeos of Raikkonen and Giovinazzi.
Yeah, we just don't have the grip, unfortunately.
Ricciardo, it's always fine margins. The Alfa Romeos were a little bit further adrift. Grosjean was further adrift, but obviously not happy with someone out there blocking him. Fine margins, but Hülkenberg and Norris can dust themselves off and go and relax for the afternoon, whereas their teammates are now preparing for Q3. So critical at the front. Verstappen, Bottas, Hamilton, Vettel. Gasly, I don't think he's going to be on pole, but Verstappen looks very quick in the other Red Bull.
Certainly does. Remember, Max Verstappen chasing his first ever Formula One pole. The other big headline today so far is that we've lost Hülkenberg, Norris, Grosjean, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, but seemingly an operational error putting paid to Charles Leclerc's chances of competing for that pole position. He went out in the first part of qualifying. Let's hear what he had to say.
Difficult days, Charles. We're all asking ourselves why you didn't go out again for another run at the end of Q1. What have the team said to you about that?
I asked whether they were sure. They told me we think we are. Said shouldn't we go get out again, but there was no real answers. I think that we will go. I don't know. I didn't have any explanations yet in detail, but very difficult one to take.
That is tough. Do you though maybe think you don't always get a second chance at Monaco? Was your first lap could have been better? I think you locked up as well. And then there was that issue at the weighbridge.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually we had plenty of time even when we went out of the box to go out again. So the weighbridge was not the problem. We still had the fuel to go again and only change tires. So none of this was a problem. I need some explanations. I don't know. Hopefully rain, and then there will be a bit of lottery in there. If it's dry, it's going to be boring. I'll have to take lots of risk, I think, even risking to crash. But at the end, that's the only thing we need to do now is to try and be extreme in our overtaking, because it's a track where it's basically impossible to take. So,
Charles, you knew that you had the pace in the car. Must be a bit heartbreaking.
It is completely, and disappointing. Yeah, I'm very disappointing today. It's a difficult day. Hopefully tomorrow will be better, but I doubt so. It's fine.
I'm going to say we've tried to see recovery drives Verstappen here last year, could only get up to 9th. You're going to have to ask for a special something from someone, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. The stars is not what I am missing. I have 2 persons up there that hopefully will bring me some luck tomorrow.
Well, that was Charles Leclerc speaking to Jenny a few moments ago, and he looked furious. He was furious, but not saving the team from it.
No, look, it's embarrassing for Ferrari. It's absolutely embarrassing. This is a circuit that qualifying is so crucial, and they're starting 16th. He might as well not turn up tomorrow, really. From 16th on the grid, he's going to need something crazy to make anything happen. Leclerc is not coming to Monaco to finish 9th in a Ferrari. A couple of points, sure, it's better than that than nothing, but he's here to win. Ferrari are here to win. They're not here to be out in Q1. You've got to be getting through. Leclerc, to be honest, was quicker than Vettel when they were both out on track at the start. The weighbridge wasn't the issue. It was not particularly clever from him either. They got to go out again. He was 3/10 behind Kevin Magnussen. Surely that is enough sort of pointers to Ferrari that maybe the midfield is going to be a little bit quicker than what you've done. You know, he's 3/10 off Magnussen's first run, and they didn't go out again. This is a team that is littered with errors. Some of the drivers, most of the team, and it's another one has just completely ruined their weekend. And Leclerc, he topped FP3 just an hour or so ago, and he's just his weekend's just gone to nothing.
Jenny, you were conducting that interview a few moments ago. How did he seem to you? Because he sounded furious.
I mean, angry, upset. I think the hardest thing for a driver to accept is when they're not in control of a situation, as I'm sure Jonian will be able to echo. If you're sat there saying to the team, come on, let's go, and they're like, no, you're fine, you don't need to go, and then you're sat there watching the clock tick down, watching your name click lower and lower and nearer the bump, and then all of a sudden you're out. And this is his home track. This is, there are lots of people here to watch Charles Leclerc in that Ferrari try and get pole and try and win this race, and they'll be heartbroken as well, because this is the fairy tale that's not coming together. Baku should have gone out, crashed in qualifying, should have got pole position, ended up nowhere really. This is a hard time for Ferrari. A lot of questions will now be asked. We'll ask them as well.
He's driven well this weekend, Leclerc. He actually was sort of nowhere in FP2, but was struggling with the brakes and everything else. Topped FP3. His teammate was in the wall. His teammate with 4 world titles, under the pressure of trying to fight Mercedes, put it in the wall in FP3. He then didn't do a good first run to the point where he did go out. Ferrari thought he was slow enough to go out. They didn't think Leclerc was, and Ferrari, somewhere on the pit wall, they basically ended Charles Leclerc's session. He's a happy, smiley, likeable guy, Charles Leclerc, and I wonder how long he will still put up with this, because it's just such an obvious one. And as a driver, you're in the garage, you trust that they've got all the data, and when they make such a mistake, it's just, I can imagine he will not believe it. He'll just be like, how can you have possibly done that? It's his home race. It's the biggest race of the season, the Monaco Grand Prix. Qualifying is critical. We've said it all the time, and they've risked it. They didn't need to risk it. They just don't risk it. You get through Q1. You're out in Q1. You pack up and go home. They didn't need to do that, and they have.
I have asked the team for an official comment about why they didn't send Charles Leclerc out again. At the moment, they say, I quote, "We're focusing on quali at the moment, so we'll explain later. Thanks for your patience."
Well, they might expect patience out of you, Jenny, but I don't think they're going to get much patience out of Charles Leclerc. And has he established himself in the team? Has he got his feet under the table? You bet he has, when he's not sparing them from criticism after watching his chances in his home race disappear. We are into the final part of qualifying. 12 minutes with 12-minute session this one. We've got 10.5 minutes to go to set the grid at the sharp end. Remember, the winner traditionally coming from the top 3 on the grid. Nearly half of the Monaco Grand Prix down the year. 29 of the 65 have been won from pole position and setting a rapid first sector of the lap. The driver you can hear right now, the silver arrow of Valtteri Bottas, who's looking to lay down an early marker to give himself a chance to push to the very limit later on in the session.
It's the first one out there then of the front runners, Valtteri Bottas. He's 2 tenths quicker than Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari, but Vettel's on the back foot really into this qualifying. For me, it's Bottas and Hamilton, maybe with Verstappen thrown in there. Verstappen's looking racy in this qualifying session. Bottas flings his Mercedes through the swimming pool, scoops it up for the second part and now into Raskas. What is Hamilton doing? Hamilton's on a slow lap, so he's just left the pit, Lewis Hamilton, so he's a lap behind. Bottas then is going to come across, the timing being Q3, his first run, and he does a 1:10.2, the fastest lap of the weekend by some distance.
Sebastian Vettel is the car you can hear going over the line. His response miles behind in racing terms, nearly 7 tenths of a second away from the ultimate pace of the new track record for Valtteri Bottas, a 1:10.2. And it's the 90th anniversary of the Monaco Grand Prix, and Bottas smashing that track record. We could see an even quicker time. You can hear Verstappen, who has decent first sector of the lap under his belt, but he really does need to push now. He's been struggling with sliding earlier on today. Can he take the fight to the Mercedes? Bottas, Vettel and Gasly, the current order at the moment. He's improving, but Max Verstappen right now, Jolien Palmer, a long way behind the pace of Bottas.
Yeah, Mercedes have turned up the wick, or Bottas has turned up the wick. Either way, Verstappen's been right there with him through the final corner. He's just fallen away this lap, but can he save it in the final sector? No. Fastest final sector of anyone, but he's still best part of 4 tenths behind, just under 4 tenths away. This is the sound of Lewis Hamilton, but he's not going to get the lap in. He cuts the Nouvelle chicane. He had a car ahead that didn't really impede him, but Hamilton then had to back out of this one. So Bottas, the man in charge.
I had traffic with Valtteri. Not his fault, but cost me.
Romain Grosjean. We heard a load of expletives from Grosjean, not happy. And it was out of turn 4 Casino. Gasly was on the racing line. He will get a penalty. I'm sure that he impeded Grosjean.
Looking at a minimum then of a 3-place grid drop from his current 4th place. Hamilton's lap inconsequential after making that mistake. Certainly leaving nothing on the exit of Sandoval as he powers back up the hill once more. There's no escape through Massenet, doesn't need it. The direction change of this year's Mercedes is something to behold. He avoids the bump in the middle of the straight that takes him to the right-hander of Mirabeau. Now to the slowest corner on the racetrack and the season indeed at the hairpin. That used to be by the station is now by the hotel. He's through Portier, so a mistake on lap number 1. Bottas looking for 4 poles in a row. We don't often see Lewis Hamilton on the back foot in qualifying.
Okay, again, front by scattering the first sector, also sector 2 in particular. Last sector is a little bit better front. Yeah, so I would also ramp up aero balance.
Okay, by how much?
A flick, which brings you onto the pit straight. Hamilton opens the DRS, but he's not able to match Bottas on this lap. He does go second. He improves on Verstappen's fastest third sector of anyone. So Bottas has time to find in there, but he's got a 2/10 advantage over Lewis Hamilton. So Valtteri Bottas is looking good, but of course there's still another set of tyres, another run to come.
So Pierre Gasly currently occupying 5th position. Out onto the pit straight. You can hear that Honda engine powering him to a personal best in the session, but no positional improvement. He is 5th. Ahead of him, Vettel 4th for Ferrari. His teammate, this Pierre Gasly's teammate, and Max Verstappen in 3rd. Then the 2 Mercedes. Bottas ahead of Hamilton. Magnussen is 6th. Daniel Kvyat is 7th. Carlos Sainz in 8th. Good effort from him to be ahead of the Toro Rosso of Alexander Albon and the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo, but we've yet to see a time from Ricciardo. He's leaving it all for the final run.
Yeah, just 1 set of tyres for Ricciardo because he needed 2 to get out in Q1 earlier on. That's where Kevin Magnussen managed to just sit in the pits like Leclerc, but he was quicker than Leclerc. He got through and he's able to have a good run on a nice new set, and he's got another set still to go on. So all the drivers now either in the pits or returning to the pits. That's 9 of them in, because that horn is the sound of Hamilton bringing his Mercedes back in. 2nd place in Q3. He's not used to this, Lewis Hamilton. Maybe he's starting to get used to it now, but he is the king of qualifying. The all-time record for pole positions, a mighty, mighty qualifier. But Valtteri Bottas is staring down the barrel of a 4th straight pole position. He's got another run to go, and he may well have to improve on it, but he's looking good. Hamilton's going to have to look at the data and find something.
Bottas saying he felt like a new driver at the start of the season. Well, this is a major step forward for him. Remember when Rosberg beat Hamilton to the title back in 2016, he made use of a weakness. That year it was the starts for Lewis Hamilton. This year, is it qualifying for the reigning world champion? Down to Jenny in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here. The sun is shining. Crowds have flocked into Monaco. They're all sat in their grandstands. All of the apartments that rise high into the sky here are full with people leaning out of balconies trying to get a little snatch of the action below them. And I have to say, the overriding feeling from many of the drivers who have gone out so far today is, let's hope for rain tomorrow. I've just checked the forecast, and while it doesn't look as sunny a day as it is today, I don't see any rain on the horizon. Kimi Raikkonen just telling me for Alfa Romeo he'd like a bit of rain tomorrow for his 300th race in Formula One. I can't see it happening, but any Leclerc fans will definitely be hoping for rain too.
Certainly will be. That would spice things up. But we have a titanic battle coming our way for Paul Bottas, looking for something that didn't look likely earlier in his career. It's a statement, Julian, that he's managed to break through at a track where he never got into Q3 when he was driving for Williams. His best start around this circuit is so far 3rd place, but he is looking good at the moment.
But I don't think this is traditionally a Lewis Hamilton circuit. It's an absolute classic, iconic, traditional circuit. But Hamilton was, Rosberg sometimes had the measure, usually I think had the measure of Lewis Hamilton around here, with or without doing a little lock up and causing a yellow flag at Mirabeau. But he's won here twice. Compared to other circuits, that's not a huge amount. You think of Melbourne, you think of Montreal, where we're up next. But either way, he's got to find a quarter of a second, really, for Lewis Hamilton, which is a reasonable chunk. We've just seen Norris and Hulkenberg go out to their teammates by 1/10, and it's been the cut-off for Q3. That's 1/10. Quarter of a second is a reasonable amount, but he didn't make a good job of that first lap. So for Hamilton, if he can get a little bit more out of the car on the first lap, that's what Bottas did. You use the peak of the tyre, and there should be a little bit more grip. So maybe there is something in there for Hamilton. Bottas cannot rest easy because Hamilton is known to dig deep and pull something out the bag late on.
The two Toro Rossos heading out very early to run in a private part of the racetrack. Didn't want to get involved with the battle for pole, and so they went over the line. It's Kvyat in 8th, ahead of Albon in 9th at the moment. You can hear the Ferrari as Sebastian Vettel winding up. Start a crucial lap for the Ferrari driver on what has been a pretty trying day for the Scarlet cars so far.
Yeah, pushing on through the swimming pool, trying to get some temperature into the tyres for this one shot that he's going to get. Ricciardo's done a good lap in the Renault. He's up in 6th and ahead of Magnussen for now, but everyone can still improve. 2 minutes on the clock, and well, here we go. Can Vettel at least get ahead of Verstappen, if not fight with the Mercedes? He's heading down into turn 1 now. On the brakes for Saint-Devot, and manages to get through. Nudged the wall, well, crashed into the wall earlier on there, but this time, final lap of qualifying into Massenet. Got to make up a lot of time to match the Mercedes, but he's got to try and get ahead of Max Verstappen's Red Bull as well.
Yeah, Max Verstappen beat him to the podium last time out in Barcelona. It's a personal best for Vettel as he goes down to the slowest corner on the circuit, and now he brings it round down to Portier, opening him up now into the tunnel. That's the sound of him attacking in the tunnel. Lewis Hamilton has set the fastest first sector of anyone so far, currently ahead of his teammate Valtteri Bottas. 1 minute to go in the final part of qualifying for this. Oh, Vettel hits the wall! Vettel hits the wall at the outside of Tabak, trying to improve, and he's not done any damage to the car. He has continued, which is so important. So Sebastian Vettel has just clobbered the wall, which means he will not improve as he comes over the line. But it is looking so close between Valtteri Bottas, who is currently on provisional pole, and you can hear the sound of Lewis Hamilton making his way through the penultimate corner. It is going to be so tight, thousandths of a second between these two. Here comes Hamilton to the line. Can he take it away? Yes, he can! Lewis Hamilton gets ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who is not improving right now. It looks like Bottas has made a mistake. And Lewis Hamilton, with a new track record, seems to have done enough to secure pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix, a 1 minute 10.1, and he has beaten his teammate Valtteri Bottas, who had some sort of issue on the last lap. Vettel hit the wall on his flying lap, Bottas had a problem on his flying lap, and Hamilton delivered. Jolyon Palmer, what do you make of that extraordinary lap?
Well, it was absolutely what he had to do there, Lewis Hamilton, right at the end. Vettel just apologising because Sebastian Vettel hit the wall on the outside of Tabak in the Ferrari. But Bottas didn't improve. I don't know why, but he didn't hook anything up on that last lap. Hamilton did, and, well, right at the death, he snuck another pole position. He's ended Bottas's run.
Bottas had 3 in a row, but just for the second time in Monaco, it will be Lewis Hamilton who is punching the air in delight, and he is the fastest driver after qualifying. Yes! And you maybe just heard the team radio there and how much it meant to Lewis Hamilton. Phenomenal stuff. He comes to park up, not where they do on the track after you win, but just before the final corner, and Hamilton, by the tiniest of margins, delivering less than a 1/10 of a second between Hamilton in first and Bottas in second. In the end, pole a 1 minute 10.1, and Hamilton punching the air. Jolyon Palmer, what a reaction from him.
He knows it, doesn't he? What a lap that he just put in. Back against the wall. Lewis Hamilton in qualifying. He's under a little bit of pressure. He's got away with it for 2 of the last 3 races. He's actually still beaten his teammate, but Monaco is a different kettle of fish. It's the one that everyone wants to win. And Hamilton right at the end.
So I'm afraid that's P2, 90 milliseconds to Lewis.
The end. It was all just caution to the wind right at the end there, but Hamilton just got the drive through the final corner, and that made the difference there compared to Valtteri Bottas. Don't know what happened to Bottas. Oh, we're just getting a little replay now, and he got a bit sideways, I think, in Portier, but he wasn't really improving.
The sound you can hear is Lewis Hamilton leaping onto the fence and celebrating with the crowd. You could hear on the radio how much it meant to him. The great Niki Lauda said that when he took pole position here in 1975, it made him tremble when he got out of the car. Well, Lewis Hamilton's voice was certainly trembling there. He has ended his teammate's run. He knows he's in a title battle with his teammate. He is his closest rival. Vettel made the mistake, which opened the door for Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton, it's like he's won the race. You wouldn't think this was pole position. This is huge.
Yeah, that point 4 was pretty decent, I think.
Yeah, looks like a good job, mate. Really good job. We can make a good day tomorrow from here. We can make a good day tomorrow from here.
And he had to find a good chunk of time, but he found it. He really pieced the lap together so well and took pole.
He's been climbing the fence, and now we can go down and hear from him talking to Paul di Resta, and we'll hear from the other two from the top 3 as well.
Excited about that. I think it's the job gets done today, but to qualify and pole at Monaco, incredible result.
Is firstly, I want to say a big thank you to the crowd that's here. Love it here. It's my home, and this is the race that every driver dreams of. You know, from being a kid. It doesn't matter how many times you come here; it's still a dream. Still put absolutely everything you've got. Every all the work we put in. All the guys back at the factory have just worked tirelessly. So we've arrived with a great car, and then a great battle with Valtteri, who's, he's just been quick all weekend and all these races up until now. And I think just the desire and the will to get this pole, it means so much to me. I had to dig deeper than ever, and I'm so glad that I could get that deep. And I'm just really grateful, as I said, to my team, and the lap was beautiful. So I feel amazing, and then just super grateful.
When you get in the zone around here, do you have to get into that spirit of the lap and let the car do the work, pushing all the way through? I mean, Valtteri, he was on fire today as well, wasn't he? What extra did you have to do to get that?
Well, obviously we've got a great package, but what people need to realize is, like, all of us drivers, we take, and as you know, we take the car, whatever car we have, fast or slow, we take it to the limit. And when you're at the limit, it's like wrestling a bull, or whatever you want to say it is. It's out of control the whole time, so it's really just trying to balance it, react at the right times. In the lap.
Yeah, that's it. P7. P7, well done. Awesome job, mate.
Okay. Cheers, guys.
Out the last corner, but still, I was coming across the line hoping, okay, just that 1 millisecond, I hope that makes a difference. So I don't know what the gap is, but I'll take it, whatever it is. Perfect.
It's enough. Well, it's a front row start, all the best.